Yo, what's up guys, wqqqqwrt here, and I haven't been outside in a while. It's been a very long time, maybe a month since I've been outside, maybe 2 months since I've been outside in the great ocean of air. And I like going outside because it reminds me what I'm supposed to do in life besides, you know, playing video games 24/7. Oh, which is good. So I'm outside and I actually want to talk about a few things. Actually, it's raining if you haven't noticed, which really fucking sucks because it's the middle of June and I was hoping it'd actually be a nice day. The one time a month I go outside, but no, it's raining, so whatever. But whatever, you know, whatever. I don't care. So I want to talk about anxiety. I want to talk about anxiety because look at this. In January, I came up with the idea of natural gameplay. In February, I rooted some very simple strategies, natural strategies, and my gameplay saw a little spike. Oh, fuck. Fuck, guys. Sorry, 1 second. Jesus fucking Christ, dude. I have like allergies really bad. So, yeah, in March, we continued the growth, and I saw another spike in my gameplay in March. April, my controller broke. Right at the end of March, my controller broke, and in the first few weeks of April. April was a rough month. It was a really rough month for that reason. And it was actually a disaster for that reason. But I was able to fix my controller with some interesting controller mods, and maybe just heart of will, power of will. So A-okay. But in middle of April, actually, I lost a really important race, and I got really upset. And then I realized macro natural gameplay is a thing. You can have natural gameplay. Why not just apply it to the macro game? Why not apply it to the outer game? I mean, my life is actually becoming more natural. My life choices are becoming more natural. You know, why not? So, and I think the big thing I learned there was you can't win. You don't determine if you win. It's not your choice. So why would you try to force yourself to win when you can't win? Or you can't control the win, you know? And in fact, if you can control the win, then it's natural. Why not get into a position where you need a natural win? Like if you win, it's irrelevant. If you can win naturally, then you have something. So that's what I learned in April. In the second week of April, I actually lost the second race, and I learned another thing. Well, it was the same thing, but I learned more of it. And in May, the beginning of May, I decided that I need, if you're calm, I decided that if a player's calm, then they're gonna be more likely to not reset, more likely to not give up, more likely to not tilt as hard, right? Overall, over the whole run, you'll just do slightly better if you're calm, generally, right? Right? I abandoned that second week of May. I abandoned that because of it's an output. It's all outputs. I just abandoned it. Like, who cares? The goal is to get calm. The goal is to be calm, but you can't force yourself to be calm. And if you pick the right inputs, you'll naturally be calm. No issue. And then everything will follow. So, perfect, right? Then due to back problems, I took a break. I took a break for the past, I didn't play for about 2.5 weeks. And 5 days ago, I picked it up again. Actually, I think it was 7 days ago. Wow, it's been a while. But yeah, 7 days ago, maybe 8 days ago, I picked up Link Fast again, and I've actually come up with probably 8 or 9 like really good ideas in the past week alone, which is crazy. In fact, I've come up with so many ideas, it's hard to even make videos on them because of how many. There's like a little tank in the background. I don't know if it's coming towards us or not. Yeah, it looks like it is. So. Am I faster than the machine? It's man versus machine right now. Yeah, Jesus fucking Christ. All right, we're gonna go fast. So I've come up with like 8 ideas in the past week alone, which is huge. But I'll just list out the big ones, guys. I see this is not a natural video. This is not a natural process. I'm gonna have to pause the video. Guys, you wanna talk about despair? Look at this basketball hoop. That's some real despair right there. And that's what happens if you don't fund youth programs, inner city youth programs. So I don't know if Mr. washroom is coming towards me. I don't know where he's going. I hope to God he's not coming towards me, because I'm doing 50-50 guesses, and he's following me. Guys, you might not believe it, but I finally beat the street cleaner. I hope I did. He might be following me still, but I don't, like, it's getting dimmer, so it's just good. So like 8 days ago, I realized a ton of new things. One of which, so natural gameplay basically says only what's been done can be done, right? And I went deeper and I realized, like, this is because of time. There's only, life's a function, basically. Like, reality is a function, and it's a function of time. And only one reality can exist at one point, right? Or only one reality can happen at any given point in time. So that's what that means, is only one thing can happen, right? Only what's done can be done, and that's why that's what nature is. That's how nature exists. Like, everything that happened in nature up to this point was determined by virtue of being determined, by virtue of happening. It's the only thing that could have happened, right? So that's what natural gameplay is. That's why it's called natural gameplay, right? It's this idea of nature, but it's just applied to the game, because gameplay, video games, speedrunning especially, it's just life. It's a cycle of life, and it jumped into an hour and a half. So, and the goal is to win. The goal is to win the life, right? So, that's one thing I realized, right? And that's actually pretty cool, but the point of it, functionally, natural gameplay means just do what you can do, right? Do what you feel like you can do. Don't do what output says to do. And everyone's doing what output says to do. And I'm saying do what you think you can do, don't do what output says to do. And one good way to do that is through what you think you can do, and it's through practice, right? And through something being, and this is why it's called natural, because whatever happens is technically natural. Anything that happens is natural, right? So if only one thing can happen, you want to pick what you can do. Don't pick something that you don't think you can do, right? There's only one thing that happens, so pick something you think you can do. But again, that boils, and that goes to this idea I came up called liquid gameplay. I came up with it like 2 days ago or something. Huge. This idea is huge. I can't imagine how big of a fucking idea. This idea is game changing. It's game changing. My gameplay is way different than ever has been in life. Trying to just think how revolutionary that liquid gameplay is. And geez, guys, I'm surrounded by hills, and I'll go over here. But yeah, because the point of liquid gameplay is, and I realized this like 2 or 3 days ago, the point of liquid gameplay is if you can only do what you can do, and this is that's another thing I realized. What you can do, what you think you can do, is constantly changing. It's constantly in flux, and a lot of this is due to anxiety. And I don't really know what anxiety is. This is what I'm going to do. This vlog is actually about anxiety. What is anxiety? I have no idea. So we're going to think of some ideas, but the point of what you can do is constantly changing, and mostly due to anxiety. And it's like thousands, millions of different types of anxiety, and you can't prevent the anxiety. You can't just say, I'm not going to be anxious, right? This is what I hate about mentality so much. It's so stupid. Just be calm. Just let it go. Just breathe. It doesn't work. It doesn't make any sense. How? If you could literally just will anxiety to not exist, it wouldn't be a thing. Like, it wouldn't be a problem. It wouldn't exist, right? So it does exist. So you can't just will it away. So not that difficult to understand, but millions of people don't agree. And it's not even the words that they don't agree with. It's their actions, which is important. The actions are more important than the words. So now we're going uphill. But, oh yeah, I was going to say, look at this, guys. Look at this water. Look at that. That's crazy. That's fucking crazy. It must be because someone's cleaning. There's no other way that's going to happen. Yeah, my back hurt in May. I really hurt my back in May, and it's been a lot better lately. Past few days it's been significantly better. Almost so much better that I don't notice it, which is really cool. And but this new issue came out. My hands really hurt, and this has been going on since December, and randomly in May this went away. I have no idea how, but randomly in May, one run it was when I decided to be calm. I decided to be calm, and so for about 2 weeks or a week, I was super calm in all my runs. And for whatever reason, I eliminated my hand problems. And the hand problem is, I lose grip strength. If I play the game a lot, or if I do a lot of runs, I lose grip strength. And I can't really play the game mechanically as well as I normally can. and it basically just dead. The runs just end. It's really annoying. I mean, I'm like, I don't know how to fix this problem. And in May, it randomly went away, and I'm like thinking to myself, how is this possible? Because it came back, and I realized again it's anxiety. And again, it's another reason why output-based gaming doesn't work, because that's what I did in May. You should be calm. Like being calm is the goal. If you're calm, you'll make smarter decisions. You'll get a better time, right? So just be calm, right? That's an output. So if you input the output, which is being calm, even if you're successful, you can technically be successful on it, but you can't control it. Whew. Whew. That was an uphill climb, dude. Jesus Christ, my back hurts so badly right now. They weren't lying about this hill, guys. They weren't fucking lying. So that's what happened. Is inputting being calm, it just didn't work. Well, how can it work? It's an output. You can't output an input. It doesn't work. So whatever. That's why I abandoned it too, because it doesn't make any sense. And then so my hand problems came back. Well, how can I fix these hand problems? I decided, let's just be real. Let's just start working out more than I already do. But let's start doing like grip strength, and like I looked at these exercise balls online, and these exercise balls, apparently they like really work. Everybody in the reviews is saying these things definitely work, which is cool. I don't have exercise balls though. I have socks though, these really long socks that I can't use. So I rolled up some of these socks, and what I did is I just started squeezing them. I'm just squeezing these socks every day, a lot, all the time. And not only that, but I'm doing a lot of grips. I'm doing like bicep curls, a lot of like weight training, because I figure it's time. It's time. And I noticed today my grip's actually like 10 times stronger. Literally 2 days. 2 days of doing exercising and like pretty light, and my grip's already like 100 times stronger than it used to be. It's pretty cool. Now when I do a bicep curl, I actually grip the dumbbell. I'm actually gripping the dumbbell, and I notice I have actual grip on the dumbbell. And when I lift the weight, I used to just use my whole body to like slowly lift the weight up, and it was just in my hand. Now I'm using my whole body to lift it up. This is stupid. Now I'm actually gripping the weight so well. What's happening is I'm using purely my bicep to lift the weight. Purely because my grip strength has improved dramatically in the past 2 days. 2 days? Like, what the fuck? I would have done this ages ago if I knew I could improve in 2 days. Have I noticed improvements in the gaming? Not really. But if you follow me on Twitter, or you watch my stream, you'll know that I actually stopped resetting. I completely stopped resetting because I realized it's not a natural process. If you reset, it's not a natural process. It's not a natural reflection of how the game can be finished. It's pointless. It's completely pointless to reset. Under any circumstance, resetting is a bad idea. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't accomplish anything. And the one caveat to this is, if you can control the run, if you can control whether you're PB or not, if you think you can PB, that's the point of it. That's the point of self. That's the point of the self theory, is what you think you can do. If you think you can PB, then you can reset, because there's no anxiety, right? The anxiety doesn't exist. And so that's why I've been resetting, right? And so I have an extreme amount of anxiety in me, and is it going away? I have no clue. I don't know, but maybe not. But it's pretty interesting. And the past 4 days of doing no reset runs, no reset, guys. I've been doing hard no reset runs. I mean, we're talking full on, no matter what, I don't reset. And I'll literally, some runs I just AFK for 20 minutes because I get so mad I can't play the game. And so I'll literally AFK, and that's how hardcore I'm going in these no reset runs. And actually it's been 5 days, 5 big ones. But in the past 4 days, my attitude has dramatically improved. And that's big because my attitude in the past month has been complete ass. My attitude's been ass. It's been beyond ass, actually. I haven't seen a speedrun as bad an attitude as I've had. Maybe there's a few, and actually there's a lot, but it's that bad. My attitude's dramatically improved. I literally finished a run with God Split right at the end, and I was so happy. I was just like laughing. Plus 4 minutes or something on my PB. Maybe that's plus 10 minutes. I have no idea. I was like laughing because I was so thrilled. Next run, I lose 10 seconds right at the start. My hand feels like ass. I can barely play. It's an embarrassment. This run's dead no matter what. It's a complete embarrassment. And I make the right moves to not die. Wait a minute. Usually I would just reset there and rage quit. No, I made a smart move, and I was like, that's annoying, but whatever, not in that face. So my attitude's improved dramatically. If you're a speedrunner who wants to have a better attitude, try doing hard no reset runs, guys. Maybe it'll help. I don't know. It's helping me. And actually, I'm not even intentionally doing hard no reset runs. It's just all you can do. The option of me resetting doesn't exist anymore. This concept, resetting, doesn't exist to me. It's not a thing, you know? The only way I'd reset is when my power went out. Does that count? Is that a reset? Maybe. I don't know. I've never been on the street. I gotta say, there's a lot of nice houses on the street. Pretty cool. Pretty remote. But it goes, again, it ties in this idea of anxiety. What the fuck is anxiety? Why does a player get anxiety? How can you remove anxiety? And actually, all those things I think are irrelevant. I think they're all outputs. How can you remove anxiety is completely an output? I think it's completely irrelevant. And so the real question is, what are the inputs? What can a player do? And those are the real inputs. Because the point of liquid gameplay is an extension of natural gameplay. And it's an extension of macro natural gameplay. And macro natural gameplay is a parallel of natural gameplay. So yeah, there's a lot more. There's something big out there I'm missing, actually, by the way. And it's all connected. It's all connected. And I'm not really sure like exactly how, but I know it's connected. And let me go over liquid gameplay, because this thing's fucking powerful. This is fucking powerful. I can guarantee you that every top player does this. And actually, I can guarantee every top player does this because it's a completely natural process. And it's the only thing that makes sense. If you could do only what you could do, you could actually break down, oh God. No, I'm good. If you only do, sorry, this sucks. If you only do what you think you can do, you only do what you're confident you can do, only do what you can do. What happens actually is you can now break down difficult parts of the game or difficult sequences. I used to call this natural sequences, right? Do you guys remember that? When I was going on about natural sequences and I started to realize I was doing natural sequences, and what the hell is a natural sequence? But I was doing it, and so it had to be a thing, right? I was doing it. Well, now I just call it liquid gameplay. Now I'm doing it consciously everywhere, and like 100 times more powerful. If you're doing exactly what you can do, suddenly you could break down a sequence into parts that you can do, and you could do every part. And if you can do every part, then the whole thing you could do also the whole thing then, right? By effect. What is this? And why is this so brilliant? This is cool. This is being deliberate. This is being very deliberate, hyper deliberate, more deliberate than everything anyone else do. Naturally, by effect, no effort, and it's by input. This is by input. It's not output. And then also, what is this? What is this process? I lost my train of thought. I'm looking at all these beautiful houses, and I lost my train of thought. I've never been on this street before. This is mind blowing. This is a mind blowing thing. This is a very nice street, guys. There's a very scary doggo behind me. If you guys can see it in the camera, look at that beast. So basically, pull point back, liquid gameplay is pretty fucking incredible. And again, it's by input. How this strategy works, I reach to it. It's by effect. I'm not even intentionally doing that, but it's interesting too, because if you try to do this with your output-based gameplay, you'd fail. You'd fail 100% of the time, and then you actually would have no idea why you're even doing it, and so you would stop doing it after a month. And that's maybe why you fail, because output-based gameplay it tries to do what the right output is, and it just does it a million times until it reaches the right output, right? That's the effect of output-based thing here, of output-based gameplay. That's the effect of it. So what's happening with that is you would break down a sequence you can't do. You'd break that sequence down into parts, into effective parts. You would do the first part, but then you fail the second part. Well, then you fail the whole thing. Like, what's the point? And it's seemingly the only advice anybody can offer in this world is to just practice more. You'll never get anywhere. You'll get nowhere. You're doomed. Basically, just doomed. So nobody wants that. You don't want that. You don't want to do this, and that's the problem with output-based gameplay. Is you can't do anything. Well, actually, the other benefit of input-based gameplay that I'm noticing, I'm saving time on this. I'm actually saving frames. Menus are easier. I'm saving frames on menus. I'm not saving frames, guys. I'm saving whole seconds. I'm saving probably 10 seconds of the whole run, every run for free, and completely naturally. In fact, this is the beginning too. This is just the beginning, and I think that I can save another 20 seconds on this because there's so much, and it's not just seconds. It's consistency. Consistency also. And also, it's how you do strats. Everything's different now. I can't quite practice it, but that's fine. I don't mind. What's the next step though? And how does this relate to anxiety? Because I go into a run and there's like millions and billions and different types of anxiety. And the one weird thing about anxiety that I've noticed is that you can't eliminate it. It's impossible to eliminate. And the thing about anxiety is it always removes the thought that anxiety exists, right? Actually, I think you genuinely know if you're anxious or not, but when you are anxious, it removes the idea of that you did something wrong. You don't even know that you did something wrong. You know that you're anxious because that's like the obvious, but you don't know that you don't know that what you don't know. And when you fail a strat, you know what you don't know. If you succeed on a strat, you know what you know and you know what you don't know, right? Or you did what you did and you know what you didn't do, right? It's pretty straightforward. If you go into a strat or go into a room or a sequence of interactions and you get anxious about it, it actually removes from your brain what you don't know. And so you don't know that you failed something. You don't even know that, like for example, if your cat walks in. Let's say you're doing Mothula on a pretty good run and your cat walks in your door. Your cat walks in and you get distracted by your cat. You're looking at your cat and now you're anxious, right? You actually forget to use visual and audio cues on Mothula. You forget to use audio visual cues on the door. These visual and audio cues that are natural, normal to you, that you always use, they get eliminated. They stop existing. Well, that's weird. So now, if you fail, which you almost always do, that's probably anxiety. And actually, I don't think it's anxiety. I honestly don't think anxiety is the problem here, because anxiety is an output. So anxiety is not really a problem. And there's actually no problem. The problem is ego-based gameplay. And so there's no solution. The solution was to control the system, which would give you a completely different output. That's why natural gameplay works. That's why natural gameplay is a thing, actually. And it's actually not a solution to anything, because there's no problem, right? Everything is natural by virtue of being existing, by virtue of being done. So it's not a problem. The point of natural gameplay is to control the system. Well, what do you control? And so that's why I call it self-theory. Because you only control what you can do. You only control yourself. You are the input. Actually, that's another thing I realized. I realized like 7 or 8 big things. One of them is that the self is the input. What's the input here? Everything's an output. Well, the hell is the input? It's an input-output theory. I've been wondering this for 7 months now. It's the self. The self is an input. It's the only input. Reality is a function. It's a function of time. Everything that happens is an output, and the self is input. Now it goes even deeper. The self's also an output. But knock it down. Knock it down to a human level, right? Because I only exist in my own consciousness. At least in my opinion. Oh, hold up. This fucking truck is on my ass. What is it, like Truck Tuesday? We fucking trucking the loop. Am I alive? Alright, good. So I actually don't know if people are only themselves. If they only exist within themselves. To me, it makes sense, in my opinion, like that, it makes sense to me. Nothing else makes sense to me. I think that reality exists outside the individual, but we're completely driven by ourselves, right? And actually, I was thinking about what is ego, and I was talking to a friend of mine actually who's talking about this stuff. What is ego? Is ego bad? And I'm thinking about it. I don't think, how can ego be bad? And if anything, ego is just the self, right? It's just a different word for the self. So if ego theory really is real, then it actually would prove that, right? It would prove that the self does direct our own reality, right? We only care about ourselves. We only are ourselves. Nothing else is relevant to us. So, cool. But it's not that relevant. What's relevant is liquid gameplay is relevant, and the reason is because I noticed when I'm doing a liquid sequence, and actually I'm starting to call it just liquefy. Liquefy your gameplay. If you liquefy your gameplay, what happens is I've noticed the anxiety leaves me. For example, I had a liquid Ganon earlier. A liquid Ganon, the final boss in Link to the Past. I only do what I can do, right? So I needed to do a very tight fire rod. And there's like 9 or 12 different ways this can go wrong. And if anything goes wrong, it's over. It's not particularly difficult, but you have to use specific audio and visual cues. And the specific interaction is very rare. So you don't get a lot of packets. And so you have to spin the Ganon, and then during the spin, pop the menu up, and then menu to the right thing, and then hold down and left, and when you gain control of Link, immediately hit Y. Now, if you hit Y too early, it's over. If you hit Y too late, it runs over. If you fire on left or right instead of down, you have to hold down right and keep down right held. It doesn't sound that difficult, but this is the thing about Link to the Past. When the anxiety hits, everything changes. And there's so many different ways this can go wrong. If one thing is off, the whole run's dead. But I slowed it down so much, I can only do what I do. So I sat there for like 10 frames, let my brain process the thing, hit the menu again. Again, this is a natural, I wasn't doing this intentionally. Technically I was doing it intentionally, but I wasn't trying to look cool. It was pretty fucking cool. And then the menu went up. I had delayed in the menu for so long. I mean, we're talking 10 frames, 15 frames at most. I had delayed in the menu for so long, I was completely ready to do the fire rod. In fact, I did it. And the weird thing is, it's focused too. That was their thing. This is input-based deliberance. Being deliberate on an input-based level. This is what I talked about months ago, almost a year ago. I was talking about this. I was like, why isn't there a scholar? Why isn't there discussion about being deliberate? Why is being deliberate not a function of speed? I think, I don't remember. Yeah, if you're being more deliberate, then you're being faster, right? That's what I was arguing. Because the idea of optimal in December, January, it went out the window. Or what people think of optimal, right? I was going with, well, what's optimal now? Well, being fast is optimal, right? Okay, so if you're being more deliberate, are you being faster? Generally, yes. So you're being faster. Is that, I don't like, why is this not, why is this a thing? Why don't people talk about this? The fastest thing I can do in a speedrun, actually interesting, the fastest thing I can do in a speedrun is not AFK. If I AFK for 20 minutes, that's more punishing than anything else. That was not a factor before. A week ago when I was still resetting, that was not a factor. It's not an element of my gameplay. And this is exactly why when you reset, it's not natural. Because that's not a factor. This anxiety thing does not exist. Once I realized anxiety exists, I realized you have to finish runs. It's not, you don't have to finish runs. I realized if you're not finishing runs, you're not learning, you're not playing the game. Finishing runs is it's the only thing you can do now. It's okay, that makes sense. Well, this is all connected, guys, by the way. Because that goes into, again, what liquid gameplay is. Where I was able to just Ganon. And it goes into the fact that it's focus. This is focusing by effect. Focusing by input. This is not forcing yourself to focus, which is output based, and then doing it unnaturally. This is natural focusing. This is what the noobs hate. The noobs hate it when you're actually successful. The haters, they hate it when you actually succeed. They say you just have to focus. All right, time to focus. You just have to focus and you win. That's not input based. That's output based, right? They don't want you to focus. They don't want you to win. I say, okay, if you can't naturally focus, write it off. It doesn't matter. The results are irrelevant. Completely irrelevant. A month later, 2 months later, actually, I originally said that in September or something. But I said a lot in May too. So a month later, now I'm focusing by effect. By input, I'm focusing. Right? Because what happened in that Ganon fight? I was hyper-focused. Highly focused and doing a highly deliberate sequence completely naturally, completely instinctually. This is exactly what the noobs are afraid of. Now I'm going even deeper. What is the next step? What is the next level of gameplay? What is it? I want to know. And I think it defeats anxiety. I think I can defeat anxiety within 6 months. I don't know if I can. I have no idea. And I'm not gonna, that's a tall order. It's a tall latte, so I don't want to say I can. But I was able to defeat a lot of things. I was able to defeat a lot of things, one of them being not resetting. I don't think I'll ever reset again. Link in the Past, I don't think I'll ever realistically reset again. I don't know. I don't think that's ever possible. Before I had to force myself. Now it's a natural process. Now resetting is a completely natural process. In fact, there's no reason to reset. It's actually the opposite now. Where, okay, I'm actually at the Steam machine again. Where finishing a run is the norm. If somebody resets, that's a complete corruption. That's not, what is, you reset a runs? Wait, you can reset a runs? There's a reset key on the keyboard? I didn't know that. I didn't know there was a button that reset the splits. That I thought you just finished a run every run. I mean, that's how I think now. I might forget how to speedrun. I might unbind my reset key. It's not useful. I don't use it anymore. What's the point? What's the point of having a reset key if you're never gonna use it? You know. So, you know, maybe I'll unbind my reset key. Maybe next week. You know. But actually, a little side note. If you're a fan of me, if you're a fan of my speedruns, type in the chat or just I'm gonna make a Google Doc. Guess what number I'm gonna get the record on? How many no reset runs is it gonna take to get the record? Because I'm never gonna reset. Or actually, we'll make it fun, you know, because some people think resetting is a thing still, right? So we'll make it fun for the people out there. What number run am I gonna PB, randomly reset? You know, maybe I'll give up, or get the record, you know. And I guess getting the record would be a PB. Which run is it gonna be on? I guessed run 231. We're on run 16. I just did 15. We're going on 16. I guess 231. You know, what run do you guys think it's gonna be? You know. Put your answers, put your guess out there. I'm gonna make a Google Doc. It'll be pretty interesting. But yeah, back to the topic, guys. When I'm hyper focused due to liquid gameplay, because the point of liquid gameplay is, if I'm gonna do a sequence by doing it by parts, by doing only things I can do by parts, well, of course you're focused. You're hyper focused. You know, easy. It's a no-brainer. So I become hyper focused. Well, I noticed the anxiety's gone. The anxiety completely disappears for the fraction of a second that I am liquid. I liquefy myself. There's no anxiety. And I don't really know what's going on there. And again, I don't think you can defeat anxiety through output. It doesn't work. It's actually possible through mathematics. If you just look at mathematics, if you look at logic, it's impossible to do. I guess it's not impossible, but it's basically possible. So, but that's interesting because we can learn, and what's the next step? And is the next step for me to just do 100 no reset runs in a row and maybe I'll learn something? Because it might be, because it's the same thing that happened with natural gameplay originally, where with natural gameplay, it took me 2 or 3 months to figure out what macro natural gameplay is. Literally took 3 months. So maybe I need to learn a lot. And I mean, that was a good 3 months. I was learning a hell of a lot. In those 3 months, I learned more about saving time in the past than ever before, almost. Top 3 ever. One was learning the game, 2 was learning what movement was, and then number 3 was natural gameplay. And actually, natural gameplay may have been bigger than both of those. So I need to learn. I mean, I think my gameplay is about 1 to 5% natural in the whole game. Like, what the heck? This is huge, right? This is pretty huge, and it might just take a few months to like actually learn the frame, like learn how to do all the rooms and stuff, you know. But there has to be a next step, and I'm thinking I came up with an idea today, actually. So there's only one reality. There's only one reality at a specific time, right? Because that's how time works. It's a function of time. So there can only ever be one reality, which is interesting because what that means is that if you're doing something, you can't be doing something else. And it's impossible, right? These are two actions, two realities can exist at the same time. So if you're doing something, you can't be doing something else, which is actually part of the reason natural gameplay works. But I never actually applied this. I never actually thought about this, and I know it goes deeper. And I actually think this is a big clue to the puzzle, because the next step of liquid gameplay is it's completely plasma gameplay, completely ascendant gameplay, and it's completely legendary. And I might get there, boys. We might get there, which would be dope. But that's the truth. That's the truth of it. And the thing about this principle that you can only do one thing at a single point in time. Only one. You can only have one unit of value on a function. In a function, if you have one input, if you guys don't know anything about functions, if you didn't take 7th grade math, on a function, if you have an input, you can have multiple outputs, right? Right? No. Yeah, right. You can't. If you have an input, you can have only one. You can only have one output for each input. think it's been a while. It's been a fucking long time. It's one or the other. I can't remember. But you can't have... Yeah, well, I think it must be. It must be if you have an input, you can only have one output. And that, the reason is... It's been a while. It's been a while, guys. All right. Right? Isn't that true? I don't know. I don't fucking know, okay? Basically, you can't have two realities existing at the same time. There's an x value and then there's an according y value. Two different x values can give the same y value. Like, that's fine, but you can't have two different y values for the same x value. Yeah, right. You can't. Yeah, exactly. Okay. You can't have two different y values for the same x value. If you have an input, you can only have one output. But you can have two outputs can give you the same input, or two inputs can give you the same output. That's totally fine. But and that's like mostly like you read that in low-level math and you're like, well, this is irrelevant. Who cares? But for functions like they're not functions, for equations like what's that one? It opens up like a mouth totally on the right side, like log x, I think. No, it's not log x. It's like I can't remember. It's been too long, and I was never even that good at math. So these concepts are. Conceptually I get it. Give you an example. I don't fucking get it. I think it goes beyond me. But I learned it in my last year of math, where there was graphs where it would expand like that, like a mouse, kind of like a fucking alligator mouth. And I don't remember how we got that. I have no clue. But that's not obviously it's not a function. That's just happening in reality, right? So what that means, though, what that means is that you can only do one thing. You can only do one thing at a point in time. So if you actively pick something that it definitely works. And this is what I'm thinking. If you actively pick something that definitely works, you actively pick what you can do. If what you can do is what definitely works, because you know that. And maybe it doesn't work, but in your mind it works, which is fine. It took me months to establish that. Mentally, it took me several months to establish that, and it's not that big of a deal. And it's entirely the idea that I asked this question, what is a mistake? A long time ago. What is a mistake? I think a lot of people ask this question. What is a mistake? I guess I was making this argument, like, what the hell is an error? And I don't like it. People try to define what an error is, and they keep falling up flat. And I've tried myself. I failed. I have no idea. I cannot tell you what an error is. A mistake. Let's say a mistake is obvious, right? Let's say a mistake is obvious. Well, is it even a mistake? What if you're just flat out wrong? Let's say everything's an error, right? It doesn't make any sense. Because then you can't, that doesn't work. Let's say nothing's an error. Again, how can nothing be an error if you can't prove that nothing's an error? It doesn't work. Let's say mistakes are completely defined by themselves. If you didn't want to do something as a mistake, otherwise it's not a mistake. Doesn't make any sense. And I'll tell you why it doesn't make any sense is because, one, look at Melee. All the time in Melee, things happen where the player didn't want to do that, and then they make a mistake, and then they profit off the mistake. So how can not wanting to do something be an error? It doesn't make any sense. Also, actually, it's output based. If you do something and then you define it, I didn't want to do that, therefore it's a mistake, therefore it's bad. Not necessarily, right? That's output based. And actually, ultimately, why all this is bogus is because this whole structure, this whole system is output based, where I don't know what a mistake is. Honestly, I have no clue. I don't care at all. I don't care what a mistake is. Because if you make a mistake or not, if you even know if it's a mistake or not, it's completely effect, and you have no control over effects. You only have control over input. And this is what natural gameplay does. This is why it's so good, so strong. It goes around this problem. It goes around this defining. If you define what an error is, suddenly you're using, that's entirely based on output-based gameplay. Everything you do is now determined by output. So if you say, okay, I wrote a very defined list of what's a mistake and what's not a mistake, to a degree, an exponential degree of 10 million. You've covered every single argument in the game. Wow, you're good, dude. You must be good at the game. You'll get flatlined by people who are input based. You get flatlined instantly. You have no chance in a competitive environment. It's obvious if you play Melee, this is obvious. If you speedrun, it's actually somewhat obvious. It's not as obvious, but it's obvious in Melee. And actually, I think this is why speedrunning attracts people who think in an output-based way, because it's not as obvious. So the problem with that is you have to do something, and then you can define it as an error, and then you can define it as bad. So you do something, and then you define what you do as good or bad. It goes away. For me, I entirely define what I can and can't do through logic, through reason, and then I just make a gameplay system around that, and then I output errors, I output winnings, I output money. I output big wins. My big ego gets bigger. That's simple. That's pretty damn simple and easy to do, easy to win. Big easy money, guys. But whatever. That's actually the last literally 6 minutes of this vlog are relevant. They're completely irrelevant because this vlog is really about what is the next step of input-based gameplay? What is the next step of natural gameplay? What is the next step of liquid gameplay? Right? Where is the next step? And I really think it has to do with the idea that you can only be doing one thing at a time. Because I've never explored this. It's a certain fact. And I actually do this. I've been doing this a little bit. For example, if you can, but the thing is, for example, there's this one menu where you're in a cutscene and then you have to menu out of the cutscene. Hit a very simple menu, and then you have to hit a doorway. So it's like a sequence of like 5 different interactions. Not that big of a deal. Pretty straightforward. Ridiculously easy, actually. But this is where mistakes can randomly happen, right? Mistakes randomly happen. And actually, even if you define mistakes to a millionth exponent, you would still fall up short because there's still random mistakes. There's an infinite number of mistakes you can make. Well, actually, that's not true. There's however many frames there are in the game, however many inputs you could do on those frames, and then complex inputs too. Like let's say you could do multiple inputs, or you could do a string of inputs, right? So there's basically an infinite number of mistakes you could make. And then there's real-time mistakes too. What if you jab your controller, Which I guess is technically input. They technically come down to the inputs on frames. It technically comes down to the frames. So maybe I'm right. Maybe I did just define mistakes for you. So input-based gameplay, and this is, again, input-based gameplay, it's a complete workaround. It's a complete workaround. If you can only do what you could do, or if you can only do one action, if you do one thing, you can't do anything else. So what I'll do is break this into liquid components. I'll menu cleanly after the cutscene ends. I'll menu, right? This eliminates a lot of the mistakes I can make, because a lot of times by mashing, you actually aren't mashing the button and you don't even press the button and you pause late. Or, I don't know, randomly you miss your diagonal, or randomly you mash a different button, or these things happen. They definitely happen, and these are the problem mistakes. Is how do you eliminate these mistakes? Well, if you can only do one thing at a time, so if you pause in the middle, it means you can't pause anywhere else. So you can't do any wrong inputs anywhere else. You can only pause in the middle. It eliminates a significant portion of these errors. And I find myself doing this naturally, like quite often. But the problem with that is I believe that's an output. I believe the whole process, the whole system is an output. It's not by choice. It's not an input. Well, I guess you wouldn't want to be a choice anyway, but I don't think that I'm not going to force myself to do that. Is what I'm saying. And if that happens naturally, so goddamn be it. But I have to agree to those conclusions. It has to make perfect sense to me. Liquid gameplay it makes pure sense. It only makes sense. It's the only thing that makes sense. I just do it. Actually, the name and the idea, it's a little silly. I'm not going to lie. It sounds a little silly, but the whole reason I do it is because the idea was so good, and I just noticed that I was doing this in my gameplay, and I was like, all right, let's make a silly name for it. Let's make it not even a silly name. That name really has real meaning, because you can become like water. When you can become like water, you can do anything, right? You can fit in any object. So Bruce Lee was saying about water. Well, it's the same with liquid gameplay. You could do anything by breaking it down into components. See, it's clever, but it goes deeper, because instead of why it's not really liquid. It's like It's pseudo-liquid. It's close to liquid. True liquid gameplay would make 0 mistakes in a run. You would be able to do several runs in a row without making pretty much no errors. I guess you could say sequences. Because this is the thing about anxiety is once you get anxious, and I was saying this earlier in my vlog, guys, once you get anxious, these things disappear. This is where I'm stumped by anxiety. It eliminates understanding. If you make an error, you made the error, right? And actually, you could argue that making an error is on the same level as not making the error. It's the same level of thought. If you get anxious about it, it's a different layer. It's a different layer of thought because you're not aware of what you're not doing. And I was talking to my friend about this. There's things you don't know in this world. There's things you do know in this world, and then there's everything that you can't even conceive of a thought that doesn't exist, right? There's so many things in this universe you can't conceive a thought that it doesn't exist. You can't think that it doesn't exist, right? It's completely outside of your ability to think, and this is the big question mark. This is the big question mark for me because maybe that's why only being able to do one thing at a specific moment fixes this. Maybe it fixes this for that reason. I don't think so. And actually, I'm not looking for a fix. I'm looking for input. I'm looking for some kind of understanding. And honestly, guys, truthfully, it might just take I don't know, again, 231 runs to figure this stuff out. It might, so, whatever. And I'm more than prepared to do that. I honestly think I could do 1,000 in a row, and I don't think it would take more than 1,000, because 1,000 runs is a year straight of doing runs. Maybe longer. So it's I think 100 runs would be, if I did 3 a day for a month, that'd be 90. So that'd be 90 runs in a month. So times that by 12, you'd get, I don't know, whatever 9 times 12 is. It's been a while. You get 800 runs, right? Right? No, it's not. It's 108. It's 100. You get 108 runs. So if I did 3 runs a day, I get 1,080 runs every year, which is, that's okay. 3 runs a day is fucking hard, and it's not just hard, but it's I'm doing 4 runs a day, so I might do 7 runs a day eventually. Why not? Why not? If this grip thing really works, then I could do 10 runs a day. I don't think I will, but so I'll do 10 mg. So, yeah, who knows? I honestly, I was hoping I'd come to some good conclusions today. Obviously, I came up with nothing. I did explain all my gameplay thoughts, the timeline, the progress chart, some of my future thoughts, and then just a lot of random stuff. What's happened in the week? My progress in the past. How long is it going to take to get the record? I'm really actually very confident. I'm getting more confident every day, which is huge. And who knows, guys? Who knows? The big questions for me right now are anxiety. What is anxiety? Why does it come on? I want more deeper understanding behind that. And then another big question mark for me is, well, I guess just stuff related to that. So I'll see you guys later. WQ in the building. I'll see you guys later. You guys, how do you access a thought that you can't conceive? How do you access a thought that you can't conceive doesn't exist? Input.